Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got a combo that one of you guys requested to see the last time we tested these shells, and it definitely should be a pretty interesting one because these are a more budget oriented shell with a rather interesting choke combination as well. But as for that shell we've got today, I brought out some more of the Fiocchi Golden Turkey shells. These ones are the 12 gauge 3-inch 1 3/4 ounce payload of lead 6s moving about 1200 feet per second, and like I just mentioned, these are a very budget oriented shell. I believe this box was somewhere around $10, $11, something right in there. So roughly $1 a shell for a turkey shell. That's definitely down there on the lower side of pricing. And they are a very basic load as well. Just a nickel plated lead number 6 without any kind of special buffer material or anything like that. But in the couple times we've tested these particular ones on the channel, they've given us both a decent result and a little bit of a disappointing result. But it seems like they prefer a little bit tighter choke constrictions, so we'll see how they do through today's setup. But as for that setup, I brought out the Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag. This one has a 28-inch barrel on it, and for that choke, we've got a Truglo SSX in here today. That's the Strut Stopper Xtreme. It's a 670 constriction, so for an 835, which has an overboard barrel to a 10 gauge spec, 670 is starting to get down there into the tighter choke range, even though it's not quite this 660 or 665 you'd find in a normal 12 gauge. So we'll see what it can do, considering that the person that requested this said that Fiocchi shells generally have done pretty well through this choke for him. So we'll see how this combo does. So as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. The turkey target's at 40 yards, and we've got the chrono so we can get our velocity. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see how the Fiocchi Golden Turkey 6s can do through the 835 and the Truglo SSX 670. Should be a pretty interesting combination, but is it enough to actually get these cheap budget-oriented shells to perform well? I don't know, so let's take our shot and see what we get. Alright, so that shell gave us 1190 through the chrono. The boss claim is 1200, so I'd say we're very close to what we should be seeing there. Only 10 feet per second under, that's plenty good enough. But how did they actually perform down there at 40 yards through that 670 SSX? Let's go check it out and see. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is what we got. Now, yes, we do absolutely have a dead turkey. There are a couple right on the bottom edge of the brain, and a number more down the spine and into the top of the body there as well. So you would have absolutely gotten that turkey. However, I do think we favored our pattern just a touch off to the left, which could have been me, considering this is the first shot of the day, or it could just be the choke and shell combo as well. But that's why you always test your setups before you take them out on a hunt. But as for this pattern as a whole, it's not terrible for what it is, but it's definitely a little bit more on the broad side than it is on the tight turkey pattern side. Now, it's definitely tighter than what we had seen the last time we tested these through the Pattern Master Black Mamba 690, but it's not as tight as what we had seen when we tested it through some of the other 665 turkey chokes that we've tried previously. So it seems like these just prefer a little tighter of a choke, which makes perfect sense considering what they are. A cheap, non-buffered turkey load that isn't really a whole lot more than just a pretty heavy field Magnum style load of 6s overall. Now, I will bring you in here and show you the core area, which isn't super hot, but I will throw up a 10-inch circle around the middle of our pattern so you can see what it looks like. Definitely not terrible, more than good enough to get the job done on a turkey, but it's nothing super impressive either. It's a pretty even spread of them throughout there overall. There might be a couple smaller noticeable voids around there, but nothing too major. Outside of that, it pretty much continues that trend of a relatively even spread all the way around to the outer edges. Maybe a couple of flyers down there at the bottom and maybe a little bit off to the right there, but not anything too drastic. It's just a more broad and even spread of pellets, which for some people, that's exactly what they're looking for. They prefer the little bit more leeway that you're going to get in at closer ranges while still having a plenty capable enough pattern at 40 yards to get the job done. So for those people that are going to be hunting over decoys in a field that are set up 25 yards away from you or something, that combo is more than good enough. And if you get a bird hung up at 35 or 40, it's still good enough to take that shot as well. But for the other half of the crowd, that's not really going to be quite tight enough for you, or it's not going to have quite a hot enough core, and both opinions are very valid. If this is the combo I had, I would absolutely turkey hunt with it, but it's not a combo that I would go seek out either. There's much better combos out there. But I gotta say, for the price of the shells and how basic they are, this really really isn't too terrible. We've seen a lot worse from a lot fancier or higher end shells. So ultimately, not terrible. I was hoping to see a little bit tighter of a pattern than that, but all things considered, it does make sense here. So not too bad for today, just a little bit more of a broad pattern. And here's the wad from that shell. Definitely nothing fancy here. Once again, kind of your heavier Magnum field style wad. Not necessarily a full length turkey wad, since you do have pellets sitting over the top of it when it's packed in that shell. And there's no buffer or anything in these either, but it ultimately looks pretty good. Nothing stuck down in there, no major damage or anything like that. Nothing I'd be concerned with. And I think it did about as good as what it could have done, all things considered today. So nothing out of the ordinary here. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that pattern right there? I'd say it's a pretty decent performance overall. It's definitely nothing that's going to blow us away, but it would get the job done for a cheap shell. If that's the combo you had available to you, you could absolutely take a 40-yard shot with it. It's going to give you a little more breathing room in at closer ranges, but it's still going to be good enough to take a little bit longer shot if you have to. And really, for a later season or a more open area type of pheasant hunt or something like that, where you might take 30 to 50-yard shots, that would not be a terrible combination for that either. It might be a little bit tight for some people for other types of wing shooting applications, but still, it would work perfectly fine if that's the combo you wanted to use or preferred a little bit tighter of a pattern in those situations. So I would say that's a good kind of all-around performance right there. You could use it for a variety of things and be perfectly fine with it, and that kind of makes sense considering what the setup is. If you want a little bit better turkey pattern, you can go to a little bit tighter of a choke with these, or if you want a little bit more of a broad spread, a little more leeway for wing shooting, you can go to a touch more open of a choke and get that. So I guess leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Fiocchi Golden Turkey shells, and if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a combo you would use for turkey hunting? And what other shells and or choke combos do you want to see with either those Fiocchi Golden Turkey 6s or that Truglo SSX? Leave all your thoughts down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.